Good morning and welcome to this webinar session with CDW and 8x8. I am Brian Paul, Principal of Cloud Services at CDW, and this webinar is designed to provide you with an overview of 8 important considerations you should review to make cloud communications easier for your business. 8x8 are a Gartner leader in unified communication as a service and contact center as a service, and understand the reasons why and how cloud communications can transform business communications. It's with great pleasure that I introduce to you Andrew Lilly, Director of Sales Engineering, and Aaron Dutch, Sales Engineer from 8x8, who will take you through the content of this session. But first we'll hear from Jennifer Baldwin of Slater & Gordon, an award-winning law firm. Many of her points relate to the content of the discussion. If you have any questions during the session, please use the web chat facility.
So Slater & Gordon is one of the UK's most well-known law firms. As a company, Slater & Gordon's key priority is providing service to customers as soon as possible. If you're having to seek legal guidance, it's obviously not a great time for you in most circumstances. So for us, it's really key that if you need us and you're inquiring via telephony or via web, we respond to you as quickly as possible and take out any anxiety that might be related to your claim. The biggest risk for us at the moment is the fact that we have got a number of systems that are unsupported. So what that means is if they were to go down, we don't have any service agreement in place that would allow us to move very quickly and efficiently into a business continuity platform. 8x8 provides that immediately. They also provide us with our business continuity, our remote working strategies, and obviously the alignment between the different modules. From the beginning, our relationship with 8x8 has been founded on support and trust and expertise from the support team at 8x8. We don't have a lot of experience in dialer. We knew what our issue was, we knew what we wanted to solve, but we didn't know how we were going to get there with the integration that we already had. Their advancement in technologies related to contact centre is just fantastic. They were able to meet our needs within 8 days, which is unbelievable, to set up such a real complex in-house integration that's allowed us to really see immediate benefits. Since then on, it's been a huge success for Slater & Gordon. We're seeing a huge increase in our speed to answer for our customers, and also commercially we're seeing an increase in our conversion rate, which is great from a KPI monitoring performance. It's really key that across the sites and the different locations, we work as one team, we collaborate together, we advance together, and we service the needs of both colleagues and customers as one group. Moving to cloud allows us to have a great support base with 8x8. Doesn't matter where we are or where 8x8 are, we always have that security and the reliability that our service can continue no matter what happens.
My name's Andrew Lilly. I'm Director of Sales Engineering for 8x8. I've worked for about 35 years now in the cloud call center, UC and telecom space. And would you like to introduce yourself, Aaron?
Yeah, so I'm Aaron Dutch. I'm a sales engineer with 8x8. Been with the company now for about 6 months, and prior to that spent about 20 years working in BPO, managing technology. So it's kind of a poacher turned gamekeeper scenario.
Okay. So the way that we're actually going to approach this is Aaron's going to set the scene. He's going to give us a little bit of his background story from when he was at Transcosmos working at this BPO, talk about the current situation they had, the desired solution, and how they went through that decision process to actually pick the chosen vendor or the chosen solution. Those 8 difficult questions that he needed to think about. So if you could set the scene for us, Aaron, and then we can start to drill down on some of those questions.
Yeah, sure. So as we mentioned, it was a global BPO company with multiple contact centers on a number of continents, running on legacy kind of on-premise telephony platforms, a mix of IP and traditional telephony. It was relatively high in terms of cost for support and maintenance, but equally in terms of effort, having to manage global managed networks, IP networks to manage the voice traffic, for example. And any changes were relatively expensive and difficult to implement. There was high capital expenditure potentially for some of those changes and adding functionality as well. So when we started looking for a new solution, we had a number of criteria, key criteria. Certainly security was one of those. We needed something that we were confident in the security. It had to be reliable, running some very high volume 24/7 contact centers. We needed it to be very resilient. We wanted integrated multi-channel, although we were operating multi-channel. We wanted those to be fully integrated into a single platform, and it needed to be highly scalable as well. We were handling millions of contacts per year. In addition to that, what we were really looking for as well was a proven industry leader, someone with a good track record within the industry. And also, it was attractive to find an organisation or a platform that would enable us to integrate and unify the front and back office sets of users potentially on a single communications platform. And we wanted obviously to reduce those large peaks of capital expenditure and flatten the cost model to more of an OPEX model. In the end, we did choose 8x8 Virtual Contact Center and Unified Communications Platform. We found an innovative partner with a true cloud, pure IP solution, rather than one that had just been put into a data center that was born in the cloud. It was highly secure and compliant and was able to offer us rich analytics reporting, but above all, very superior call quality.
Okay, thank you very much, Aaron. So let's look at the 8 important considerations that Aaron went through in the vendor selection process. So we've highlighted some of the key things that he identified. The first one, do they go with a traditional model or cloud? You mentioned earlier that data privacy and security were key. You wanted a system that was scalable and highly resilient. And, in line with working in a BPO, speed of deployment was key because a lot of your customers and prospects wanted that technology to be spun up pretty quickly. And then analytics and reporting was critical. So we're going to drill down on some of these topics and some of the questions there because I'm sure you had to share back that information to your customers. And then you wanted an innovative partner that could deliver a solution over, a highly optimized network that integrated with your existing solutions. So let's consider the first question, so traditional or cloud. So Aaron, can you talk me a little bit through your thought process? Because I believe you had some legacy systems in place before you made this decision.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were sort of legacy premise based, and it was a big consideration as to whether or not we wanted to, was there an element of risk with going to the cloud? I mean, relinquishing control around such a core and important platform in the delivery of our services, would we be taking a risk in doing so? So that was a major consideration, and it's understandable that anybody would think that. Would we suffer issues around call quality? How could we be assured of the security controls, etc.? So those were all considerations we made. But one quickly apparent benefit that the cloud providers certainly presented to us was functions and capabilities within the platforms that traditionally would have been seen as quite cost prohibitive. So integrated quality management, world-class speech analytics, these were traditionally very, very expensive, difficult to implement, but cloud providers certainly appeared to be offering those functions and capabilities at a price point that was achievable and manageable for us. So that was a real draw.
Okay, so how did 8x8 respond to this? So I'm going to go a little bit off piste here, so moving away from standard corporate material, and I have a way that I like to actually represent how vendors look at this move to the cloud. To me, moving to the cloud is really no longer a debate. I don't think you see vendors standing up, email systems on premise, for example. So let me show you this pictorially and how I think about this problem that Aaron was trying to address. So traditionally, a lot of, phone, PBX, private branch exchange vendors or unified communications or contact center vendors would sell you a tin box. And then, if you wanted to make that multi-site or highly available, they would sell you multiple boxes. Potentially, they could actually deploy that technology in the cloud and offer that up as a managed service or hosted. But I would actually see this as effectively a fake cloud. You're taking the same technology and just moving this into a data center somewhere. Some of the challenges around, legacy technology is that, one, it was expensive to maintain, it was inflexible, complex to deploy. Often it would require multiple vendor technologies, and the projects could be quite high risk and, as I said, difficult to deploy. By moving to a true cloud communications provider that offers, unified communications, contact center as a service, and meeting solutions, what you can actually do is you get a faster time to value. So with a cloud system, you instantly have access to that technology. So you're actually getting value day one from your investment. It's lower risk. The solution is already in place. Many customers are actually using that infrastructure. It's virtual, so that means it's location independent. Another big benefit around true cloud solutions that are multi-tenant is that all customers effectively have access to the same technology, all the latest technologies. Aaron was saying there earlier in his question that he wanted access to things like speech analytics. These were complex things to deploy in the legacy world, and obviously costly. With a cloud solution, we've just built that into our unified communications and contact center solution. And then another key thing here is around flexibility. So as an outsourcer, Aaron wanted to be able to spin clients up and down, had zero or little IT footprint, and everything was accessible via the web. As I said, this is I see this really as an evolution of technology. I think there's a lot of analogies out there if you look at vendors like Salesforce, for example, and how they've taken on the CRM market. The other key thing here is this really does match today with the modern CIO agenda. They are looking at flexible commercial models, lower cost of ownership, the ways that they can actually differentiate in the customer service that they offer, enable new business models, to offer things like flexible working, for example, or business continuity out the box, deliver that personalized customer experience. And I know it's maybe one of the things that you may want to consider later, Aaron, talking about, that ability to facilitate, flexible working. The other key thing here is that, if you are looking at cloud, you want a trusted partner. And if you look at 8x8's record, we are an 8 times Gartner Magic Quadrant leader for unified communications as a service, 4 times for contact center as a service, over 1 million business users worldwide with over 40,000 deployments. So offering a highly scalable and highly resilient solution. So I think that concern you had, moving to the cloud, we have a proven pedigree and track record of delivering these types of services. One of the key things I'd also like you to consider when you're actually looking at moving to, cloud or sticking, if you've got an on-premise solution at the moment, with cloud technology vendors, there are a lot of vendors out there that are actually provide, unified communications, contact center, or meeting solutions through legacy providers. Some of that technology stack is also provided as point solutions through a range of different partnerships. The unique thing about the 8x8 proposition is that we do own everything. So we own the full stack, unified communications, contact center, and meeting solutions, all available on one highly scalable platform. That gives us a lot of benefits. So you have access to all the data. We can deploy a lot of new, rich functionality very quickly on one unified solution. So let's move on to question 2. So a key thing, and I'm sure this was critical for you as a BPO, Aaron, around data privacy and security. Let me know your thought processes here, this question.
Yeah, so quite rightly, really, data privacy and information security is kind of a number one consideration when considering any kind of IT platform or strategy. We certainly operated in some highly regulated markets as well. So it was important for us to ensure that and see that the partner had those kind of accreditations in place. And certainly with 8x8, we found that there were significant numbers of those, and some of the more specialist ones, for example, around HIPAA and FISMA, for example, as well as ISO 27001. And the capability also to support us in our PCI compliance, because we were taking payments as well. So that's a major consideration for anybody, and I would encourage people to certainly look into the kind of accreditations and the compliance that any organisation has, and that they can prove that they do have those.
Okay. So how did we address that need, or that difficult question for Aaron? So at 8x8, we've made a significant investment in, best of breed technologies and security standards, whether that's around quality management, whether that's around information security. We are a supplier to the government, so we're on G-Cloud, so there's a lot of hurdles that we've had to jump through from a governance and process perspective to meet their requirements. One of the other key things, and I used to see this a lot before, I've worked at legacy providers 10, 15 years ago. When I started to move to cloud vendors, security was something that was always thrown at me. I would actually argue that cloud vendors have, dedicated expert teams that invest in best of breed technologies, whether that's firewalls, whether that's working on tier one data centers. So we have, that dedicated team actually focusing purely on security to make sure that the needs of all our customers and our customers' data is safe. Okay. So your third question that you raised was around business continuity and resilience. So if you're offering a service to your customers, you've got to keep the lights on. You've got specific SLAs that you need to meet. Can you talk a little bit about the sort of question, the thought process you went through there, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, as you mentioned, if you're operating what I consider to be kind of mission critical services, especially for your own customer, but equally their customers as well, which was the situation for us, we needed to ensure that any partner we would work with could demonstrate true global reach through a distributed architecture, multiple data centers with failover mechanisms in place. Also, not only the resilience of the platform from business continuity was really important, but equally how it enabled the end users, our agents or our back office staff, to potentially be more mobile as well and agile in the way that they worked as well. So, certainly with 8x8, we were able to leverage the mobile clients capability for agents to be able to just log in with a browser and take calls from anywhere on any endpoint. These were huge advantages that made business continuity much, much easier. We didn't necessarily now need to be too concerned about having to maintain expensive warm sites with dedicated equipment that sat there doing nothing all the time, VPN connectivity into other peers throughout the world. Instead, everything could just be accessed on the internet and was much more highly mobile and agile. So that was a major consideration for us.
Okay. So how did we address that need? So 8x8 have made a significant investment in global data center infrastructure. In fact, we have 15 data centers across the globe and, 157 countries that we now operate in. We have a global SLA. The key thing here is that with a cloud solution that you get, business continuity out of the box. And what that enables you to do is offer flexible working from a true cloud service. To use our technology, whether that's the contact center application or unified communications, all you need is internet only. And what that really delivers is a true virtual service. So highly resilient, business continuity out of the box, where the only thing you really need is internet access to be able to log onto the system. The other key thing we do, and you've probably seen this, 35% of the working population now are millennials, very much driven by mobile apps. With 8x8, we offer a mobile application, so you can actually work from any location via your mobile phone as well. Okay, so moving on, look at the next question. So speed of deployment. So outsourcer obviously need to scale up and down quickly, new customer requirements coming in fast. What were some of the things that you needed to think about here?
Absolutely. So speed of deployment and, traditionally setting up new locations, which is something that we had to do quite regularly because we might need to capitalize on a new market, take on a new customer, support a new language. Setting up a new location traditionally would have obviously, we would have had to have set up circuits, internet-based circuits, MPLS circuits. With legacy on-prem equipment, we would have had to have installed lots of servers and other hardware. So it was a major benefit and in moving to a cloud provider, in that we were able to reduce the time to set up those locations significantly. So certainly our level of effort internally, but also our project timelines were reduced massively. We were able to set sites up in half the time that we were previously, and it wasn't the kind of IT and communications platform that was the sort of longest part of that project. So that was a major consideration and a huge benefit moving to the cloud.
Okay. So 8x8, answering that question, speed of deployment. So we have deep expertise in deploying successful implementations. We have plenty of case studies and proof points that we could prove to Aaron when he was going through that decision process. We're focused primarily on on UCaaS and CCaaS, so we have a lot of domain expertise in here with deep best practices and a flexible deployment methodology. We've got a range of different customers that we've delivered these services to, from across a range of different verticals, across a range of different market segments, from small business, mid-market to big enterprise customers. So over 3,000 enterprise customers now across the globe using our technology. The other key thing here is that we do have a lot of global customers. So if one of the things that you're actually considering when you're looking for a communications platform is being able to deploy this across the globe, we have global deployment teams across 15 locations at the moment, and we're growing rapidly. And we also work with a range of different partners to enable us to actually deliver our technology. Okay, so analytics and reporting. So as a BPO, I'm sure this is a big question for you. You need to provide rich insight to your end customers and your customers' customers. Talk to us a little bit about the process that you went through, the sort of questions you were asking around this specific topic.
Yeah, so as you say, one of the key responsibilities for us and part of the service we provided was to obviously provide rich reports and lots of reports to our customers to back up our performance and to assure them that their customers were getting the right experiences. And there's two levels to that. Obviously, there is the reporting for ourselves, and as I said, then there's the reporting for our customers. So we wanted to ensure that we were able to provide analytics and reporting, both historical, real-time dashboards, not only for our own view, but for our customers as well. So certainly having those hosted in the cloud and therefore accessible via a browser meant that our customers suddenly did have a much greater view on the service that we were providing for them. And also another thing was that we were more interested in looking for new metrics and new measurements around things like the actual customer experience and the customer journey. So it wasn't necessarily just about the sort of traditional call center statistics and the numbers around call handling, for example, or contact handling. We wanted to now understand a bit more about, well, what was the journey that the customer went through? What was the experience that customer actually had? And what we found was that we now had the capability to view different types of metrics, generate the data very, very quickly, and that was a huge advantage, and that was something that made it a big benefit for our customers. So that was a really big draw, and that was very important to us.
Okay. So how did we address this need? So one of the key things about providing a cloud service for unified communications and contact center technology is that we own all the platform, we own all the data in one place. What that enables us to do is actually provide a very comprehensive set of sort of real-time and historical metrics to Aaron and to Aaron's customers. And that can be across all interactions, whether they're voice, email, chat, multimedia, for example. And we can unify those metrics into one unified dashboard. Another key thing that we actually see from a lot of our customers is that they may already have certain sort of business analytics platforms in place. And what they would like to do is actually consume our reporting information and actually merge that with their business data. So I expect, Aaron, that may be one of the things that you needed to do. So we provided a rich set of APIs and SDKs that enabled us to actually export that data into some of the third-party systems that Aaron's customers were using. Aaron also touched on customer experience analytics. So one of the unique things that we do within the platform is we give true transparency to the customer journey through their whole customer experience through the lifetime of that call. I know this was key to you, Aaron. I mean, one that you actually pinpointed this as a unique thing that you saw in what we offered.
Yeah, and you know what you're seeing there is an incredible view of a customer journey, and precisely everything that happened to that call, every type of event that happened to that call, how long it took. You know, quite often we would have service delivery managers or customer service coming to us, you know, and asking about a specific call. You know, having to go through kind of tabular CDRs and try and piece together interactions that way was very timely, time consuming, and a lot of effort. Whereas what we were able to get here is a very, very quick graphical snapshot of an interaction end to end, and it was effortless to reach.
Yeah, I think the last bullet point or line there about faster time to insight. I mean, to actually find this information in most historical systems, you would be trawling through a range of, you know, CDRs or detailed reports. This is going to really enable you to sort of drill down on the pinch points within that customer journey and identify ways that you could actually improve the customer experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And what it meant was that you could really quickly filter and define the types of customer experiences that you wanted to search for. So that capability was a huge advantage.
Okay, so innovation. So I'm sure the needs of your customers were driving a lot of the decisions you needed to make around innovation. You wanted something that was future-proof. We all know the trends that we're seeing in the industry around things like AI, around social media, and the way that customers interact with businesses, B2B or B2C. The other point I mentioned earlier is that, you know, we're living in a world now what I would call a mobile generation. So people are using apps for everything. So talk to me about some of the thought processes that you went through when you were looking at an innovative partner, some of the technology things you were looking for.
Yeah, so I think that's the key point that you make there is certainly when you're providing services in a B2C environment, you need to keep pace from an innovation perspective with the demands of those customers. And obviously that's becoming more and more advanced. Such as, you know, people want to be able to contact these companies or these customers on any number of channels, including social media, messenger apps. So we wanted to see that there was innovation around there. So we really wanted a partner that showed a track record in innovation, a desire to innovate, and a capability to do so. You know, we had ideas around, like everybody probably does, around how AI could enhance customer experience, and I certainly saw the potential for that to benefit us in areas such as quality assurance, speech analytics, sentiment analysis. So those were all areas we wanted to explore, in addition to more automation, so much more intelligent kind of AI-driven IVRs, how we could build virtual assistants or bots within the kind of initial interaction stages with a customer to try and deflect some of the more mundane tasks away from agents to have agents doing more kind of high value tasks, and, you know, giving customers effectively a better experience. So those were all areas that we were keen to explore, and something that obviously I think anybody providing services in a B2C environment today will need to consider.
Okay. So 8x8, as an organisation, for those who are new to 8x8, we've actually been running now for around 30 years, and we have a track record of innovation, many industry awards, and lots of recognition for some of the innovative technology that we've actually deployed. Over 300 patents in the organisation, so that constant track record of delivering best of breed and innovative products. If you look at speech analytics, for example, there was an example that Aaron provided. We provide speech analytics across our unified communications platform and contact center. Right at the beginning of the presentation, Aaron said that this typically was a technology that was seen as expensive or maybe required integrating with a third party. We provide this out of the box, integrated with our UC and call center products. What speech analytics really enables you to do is actually drill down on every conversation, and also where we're going with the product to actually drill down on the content, for example, of a chat message. You can look at things like word trending. You can look at sentiment analysis. So I expect this was a big operational saving from a quality management perspective for you, Aaron.
Yeah, massive. I mean, if you were listening to 20% of calls, you were doing well in a high volume environment, and ultimately a solution like this does 100% of the listening for you. So that's one major step out the way. And then being able to overlay that with automated speech analytics, sentiment analysis, as you say, and therefore expose insights to you much faster, means that it's an enormous benefit to an organisation and saves an incredible amount of time and effort.
Okay. And yeah, we're actually sat in an office here by the Thames. The analogy I always like to give is the bucket of water at the Thames. If you throw a bucket into the Thames, that isn't a true sample of the water quality of the Thames. With speech analytics, what we're actually doing is analysing every single call. We're analysing all the water in the Thames, and we're taking away the human element and the overhead of actually doing so. Another key area that you identified when you were looking for an innovation partner was around advanced IVR, so natural language processing, speech recognition. You mentioned AI and ML as well, and the use of bots. So for those of you who are new to sort of bot technology, that could be a voice bot, it could be a chat bot, effectively a machine that is doing the answering for you, or that conversational transaction with the customer. You talked about call deflection. So what are some of the sort of use cases you were looking for then? Where could you see the benefit? Because I expect the big overhead in an outsourcer is actually the bodies, the people in the contact centre.
Yeah, they're generally the most expensive resource. So what you want to do is you want to ensure that you're deploying them to the work, the tasks, which are generating the most value for the customers. So therefore, having that capability to sort of provide triage or provide more automated kind of routine services to customers using this kind of technology is critical. And another consideration was around sort of payments. So if you can automate payments, take it away from any humans, you're effectively de-scoping yourself. And the key within PCI compliance obviously is just to de-scope. Yep. So that kind of capability is also very, very
and we haven't touched on this one. As part of our solution set, we can provide PCI compliant solutions as well that enable you to actually effectively de-scope the risk and remove the human being out of the loop. Okay. So network optimization. So you had a lot of traditional legacy infrastructure in place. You were looking at a pure cloud provider. Obviously, when you're consuming cloud technology, one of the key considerations is around the network connectivity. So what are the thought processes that you were thinking about here and some of the risks that you'd identified?
Yeah, so obviously coming from a world where we were managing the end-to-end circuitry ourselves, those circuits had to be highly resilient. We had MPLS providers, backup MPLS providers, then VPN backups to that. All of those things are very, very costly to support, maintain, upgrade, change. Any kind of change would have had a huge effect on how we routed traffic, for example, and potentially had a disruption to the customer. So one of the things that obviously going to the cloud offered was the potential to really rationalize our global network, reduce large amounts of capital expenditure. All of those connectivity medium had a lot of hardware at either end, and therefore it was very, very expensive to implement new locations, as I mentioned earlier. But one of the major considerations all the time, and the reason why we used to deploy and those kind of networks, was to make sure that we had great voice quality. So again, a major consideration was when going to the cloud was, if we are not managing those networks end to end anymore, yes, we're getting the benefit from saving all of that kind of that money and time and effort, but how can we guarantee we don't want to do that with if there's going to be a detrimental effect on voice quality. So it was very, very important that we found a partner that was proven with regards and transparent with respect to the kind of quality that they were capable of providing, and therefore had the global network in place to be able to do that, and we found that to be the case.
Okay. So how we address this for Aaron, so 8x8, we do have the best global voice quality. We have a patented technology called Global Reach that enables us to make sure that we are routing voice traffic by the best or optimum location. That will be from a voice quality perspective and also from a cost perspective. There's no point, for example, if you are sitting in the UK tromboning audio through the US and back again. So with our geo-routing technology, it makes sure that we hand off to the local data center to make sure that we get the best voice quality delivered to the customer. 15 data centers across the globe. We will underwrite this with an SLA. If you actually look what we did to actually validate this, we we asked a third party to do some analysis of our voice quality, and this was an organization called Tolly, and they looked at a range of different metrics around sort of packet loss and jitter, things that are very specific to IP telephony for unified communications and contact center. And across these three key criteria, we came up top. So again, we will guarantee an SLA around voice quality, and we've used a third party to actually validate that. So I think that met many of your requirements and needs, Aaron. Okay, so let's talk about ease of integration. So I know this was a key thing for you. You've, as an outsourcer, you probably had many customers using lots of different legacy systems that you needed to integrate to. You also probably had in-house systems that you needed to use to actually manage the business. So talk to me about the process that you went through here.
Yeah, so we wanted to ensure that what we were going to be moving to and the partner that we chose had a kind of open philosophy with respect to integrations. So we wanted to see that they were well documented, that they were open, and that there was an integration framework in place and a desire to continue to add to the kind of native integrations as well. So, we would have to at times use our own systems of record or CRM or ticketing systems, but equally we'd be providing other services to other customers where they would insist on us using theirs. For example, we may only be a small part of a much bigger global customer service operation, for example, and therefore we would need to use theirs. So we wanted to ensure that we had a platform which enabled us to have open, quick, native integrations, but where there was no native integration, a well-documented open API, therefore, that we could work with them to develop anything custom for ourselves. So, yeah, that was absolutely critical, and that's something that everybody really should consider is how easy those integrations are going to be.
Okay, so the way we address this is that 8x8 across our UC and Unified Communications and Contact Center offerings, we provide a range of different integrated out-of-the-box business applications. You can see all the different logos there on the left-hand side. The other key thing is that we enable you to integrate with your existing collaboration platforms as well. So some of our customers, for example, may use something like Slack. So their engineering teams are using Slack to collaborate as they're going through some of maybe their support or development processes. But what they would like to do is actually connect that to the UC system, the corporate UC system. So what we can provide is effectively a same room or a connection pipe that enables us to actually message between the two platforms. So we have tested and we have customers running on all these different platforms working with our UC offering. Okay, so lots of integrations out of the box. So in summary, I think there are probably many, many more questions, and hopefully we're going to get some questions on the webinar here. But we've covered, traditional or cloud. I think that argument potentially is an old argument now. You obviously settled, Aaron, on a cloud vendor because it covered a lot of the operational flexibility that you needed, gave you access to things like innovation. You wanted someone that was,
could provide a highly resilient and secure platform. And the way that we've addressed that 8x8 is investing significantly in multiple data centers, but importantly, a lot of the well-known industry standards that underpin those around sort of things like data privacy and security, for example. We offer business continuity out of the box as a true cloud offering. The other key thing is we've got thousands of customers. Well, I said, over 1 million customers using our solution. The speed of deployment in time to value is very fast with a cloud platform. We covered analytics and reporting. This was critical for you because it was about, I expect that as a BPO, you were under some sort of contractual regulations or SLAs to meet specific requirements. And the way that you provided that data was through access to rich analytics and reporting. And then finally, you were looking for, an innovative partner that could guarantee quality of service over a global IP network that also could integrate with all the systems that you had in place.